What's a common fact that's actually incorrect? It's not dangerous to wake a sleepwalker. They won't have a heart attack or be put into a coma. They'll just be confused and it won't be pleasant for them. That's it. The beverage used by Jim Jones to kill all of those people was not Kool-Aid. It was another brand called Flavor Aid. Gladiator games in ancient Rome were not 2 men go in. 1 comes out. The figure I've seen in most studies is a chance of 1 to 9 for a gladiator to die during a moonuse that he took part in. That's huge. Of course. But still means that, in most cases, it wasn't a fight to the death. No one was ever burned at the Salem witch trials. They were all either hanged, died in jail, or crushed by rocks. Edit. I did not learn this from Molly's Game. I learned it from Salmonella. You can put birds back in their nests. The mother will not reject them. It's commonly said that lightning never strikes twice in the same place. In fact, it does. And frequently. Fact then. Putting butter on a burn will heal it. Fact now. Don't try it. Humans eat 8 spiders a year in their sleep. Spiders generally like cool, dry places. The inside of your mouth is not an appealing place for them. Daddy long legs are the most venomous spiders in the world. But they can't bite you. I hate this one so much. Daddy long leg spiders are not venomous to humans at all. No. They can't bite you. But even if they could, you wouldn't die or come anywhere close. Edit. Apparently they aren't even spiders either. WTF. Another edit. Guys. Read the comments before you post that they can bite. Other people explain that for you down there. We only use 10% of our brain power. You always use 12 watts. That is the total power of the brain. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment didn't involve injecting people with syphilis. As is commonly believed, it's still used as the go-to example of unethical medical experiments. However, because it involved observing the progression of untreated syphilis, and not treating subjects with penicillin when it became available, there's no solid division between left and right brain. The left side can learn right brain skills and vice versa. Is all digested and unprocessable food waste? When really up to 50% of it is dead bacteria cells. The phrase wasn't, "Luke, I am your father." It was, "No, I am your father." Napoleon wasn't short. He was actually 5'7", which was considered average to tall height for the time. Apparently the only way we can surmise that the urban legend started that he was short was because of the difference between English and French imperial units, which led to his height seeming small by British figures. The is a muscle false that consists of a unique tissue that inflates with blood and restricts the blood from leaving, which inflates the tissue and creates an erection. The same type of tissue exists in your nose, which is why you get a stuffy nose from sneezing, crying, allergies, all of which increase blood flow to the face. Edit. Wanted to add for cringe factor. But you can rupture or break your as well smiley face. This is something men probably don't know. Period. Blood doesn't just flow out constantly. It can stop for a while and continue. One time my flow stopped for an entire day and I stopped wearing pads because I thought my period was over. Just to be happily reminded that my body hates me by staining my favorite jeans the next day and continuing to do so for a few more days. Kirk never said, "Beam me up, Scotty," in Star Trek. That if you encounter an alligator, you should run in zigzag. Do one zag and just run straight. Sherlock Holmes never said, "Elementary, my dear Watson." People actually did expect the Spanish Inquisition. They were given a 30-day period where they could confess their sins before the Inquisition would come for them. Another one is cow tipping. Cows don't sleep standing up. The ones standing are usually on like a guard duty to alert the others who are sleeping should a danger arise. No one is sneaking up on an awake cow and pushing it over. Last one off the top of my head is the old sugar in the gas tank. That's not gonna do anything. No engine death. Syrup in the cylinders, etc. Sugar doesn't dissolve in gasoline and the sugar isn't going to make it past the fuel filter into the engine when it gets sucked up the pump. Worst case scenario, you clog the filter and spend about $6 to replace it. The belief that Jingle Bells was written to be a Christmas song. Wrong. It was intended to be a Thanksgiving song. That Adolf Hitler was an atheist. Actually, Hitler was raised Roman Catholic. But when he wrote Mein Kampf, he believed that God created the peoples. SS members were also required to believe in God as well. Hitler also referenced God in many of his speeches. The R in R-15 stands for assault rifle. It actually stands for Armalite. The company that engineered the rifle. Edit. Changed the grammar to better show the fact and the fact. Sorry, I've always struggled with grammar. It's not the volts that kill you. It's the amps. Amps don't even exist without volts. But volts do exist without amps. It does take a certain amount of current, amps, to kill you. But it also requires a certain amount of voltage to push that current through you. If the voltage is not high enough, then it cannot push that current through your body. The higher the voltage, the more easily it can push current through you. And do some killing along the way. Which one does the killing? They both do. Similar to getting hit by a bus. You need the bus. And you need the bus to have velocity in order for it to run you down. Edit. A better, incorrect analogy might be, it's not the speed of the bullet that kills you. It's the size of it. Hopefully it is easy to see what a ridiculous statement that is. Rick never says play it again. Sam, in Casablanca. There are only 3 states of matter. Solid, liquid and gas. There is also plasma as well as other special situations such as superfluids. Dogs don't sweat through their tongues. They sweat through their footpads. Paul Revere was not a hero of any kind. First, he never would have said, "The British are coming," because they were all British. Not to mention, it would have alerted the British forces where he was with all his yelling. All Paul Revere did was ride 12 miles and then get caught. Also, he wasn't the only rider. The accurate event, and one that is way more compelling and interesting, was Sybil Luddington. She was only 16 years old. Prior to her famous ride, Sybil saved her father from capture. A loyalist named Ichabod Prosser and 50 other loyalists tried to capture her father. But Sybil lit candles around the house and organized her siblings to march in front of the windows in military fashion, creating the impression of many troops guarding the house. The Loyalists fled. On April 26, 1777, Sybil Luddington rode her horse, Star, 40 miles through the night in Putnam County, New York, to alert 400 revolutionaries of the upcoming arrival of British soldiers. Young Sybil carried a stick on horseback to bang on the doors she passed, cutting down on her travel time. Her heroism brought George Washington to her house to personally thank her. So why does Paul Revere get the credit? He had a publicist. Eating carrots doesn't improve your eyesight. In World War II, the British had come up with a novel way to spot incoming German bombing raids. Radar. But to keep the Germans from discovering it, they attributed their amazing ability to spot airplanes at night to their double-A crews eating lots of carrots. Thanks to British deadpan humor. People have been believing this for 80+ years. There is only one type of chemo. For those of you unfortunate enough to know the truth firsthand, I'm sorry. But while talking about the different types of chemo I've been on, dozens of people have asked, wait, isn't there only one kind of chemo? No. My innocent child. No. That a tomato isn't a vegetable. A tomato is technically a fruit in the botanical sense because there's no such thing as a vegetable in botany. Vegetable is a culinary term and a tomato would be classified as one. That a hymen is like a seal over the hole and if it's intact. That's the way to tell if a girl is a virgin. A lot of things the US government passed off as facts about psychedelics in the 60s and 70s have been proven false. For example, LSD doesn't rot your brain or cause psychosis, it can exaggerate pre-existing psychosis. Though, there's a widespread belief that baby rattlesnakes are way more venomous than adults. The composition of the venom doesn't change as the snake grows. And the proportion of venom released in a bite doesn't change much either. I think this belief started because baby snakes of any species are much smaller. And therefore more vulnerable. That might cause them to act more defensively if provoked. Snakes in general are misunderstood creatures. That hot water opens your pores and cold water closes them. Your pores don't change. The only difference is that hot water can be drying to the skin whereas cold water isn't. And drying out your skin again and again can cause it to overproduce sebum, developing zits on the face and body if you have acne-prone skin. But also don't make out that hot water is the devil. It's really good for relaxing your muscles. Mother Teresa was a good person. Nope. Look it up. She believed suffering was a gift from God and spent a vast majority of her time flying private jets and accepting gifts.